What's up, you guys? Matt Jablonski here with the Point of Change. Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Today's a special day for this guy, as today I am celebrating 6 years meth-free. Woo! That's pretty awesome. I'm going to wait for some people to get here and hang out with me live. If you're not watching live, you can drop a hashtag replay down there so I know you're watching. And still hang out with me anyways. As you guys come in, throw some likes and some loves up on this video. There it is. Good. Oh, excuse me. Let me get this live video pulled up over here so I can see reactions and comments and all that stuff. There we go. How's everybody doing? Mike, congratulations, my brother. Thanks, Mike. Good to see you this morning, man. Enjoying some coffee. Nice morning. This morning it was like normally, you know how when you wake up and even on a big day or whatever, sometimes that first moment when you first wake up, you don't realize it's that day, you know? This morning it was like God just had a reminder for me right away. I woke up at 6 o'clock on the dot and I was like, oh, 6 o'clock. Oh yeah, 6 years. Oh yeah. Got right out of bed, went down, did my workout for the morning. One of those things where it's like, and I kind of had that feeling of, you know what, today's 6 years, today's kind of my day, you know? I'm just going to sit on my ass. I ain't doing shit. I might go downstairs, play some video games, you know? And then I got downstairs and I was chilling there for a little bit, looking at my phone and stuff. And I was like, you know what? No, like, how did you get to 6 years? Did you get to 6 years by just being like, oh, no, you know, just fluff it and blah, 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 blah. No, you got here by doing a lot of work and by doing the right thing in the moment, you know? So it was like, you know what, even though today is your day, Matthew, you can do whatever the hell you want, but let's go work out. So I got up and I did a workout. So glad that I got off my ass and worked out, you know? It might be a 6-year celebration, but it's still another day and we still got to earn it and we still got to be here and be, you know, and show up for yourself. So I had to show up for myself this morning and prove to myself that I can do it, you know? Because you might make it into recovery by accident or have recovery forced on you, but you don't make it to 6 years by accident having somebody force you. You know what I mean? So you got to make those small decisions. What's up, Angie? Getting those tags on the board. Awesome. Good to see it. Daniela, hello. Good morning. Congrats. Thank you. Jessica, 6 years. Woo! Woo! 6 years. Freaking crazy, right? Time flies. Time just freaking flies, man. It feels like just yesterday I was 30 years old and had no teeth in my head and was out running and gunning. And it's so crazy to think about that, even to think about that was my mindset back then. Not necessarily that I thought that was okay. I knew it was wrong while I was doing it, but just the difference in mindset, you know, the difference in the people you surround yourself with and the difference in those tiny little things that we slowly delete our moral code. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like day one, maybe for some people, but for me, it wasn't like day one, you just jump all into meth, you know, and that's all I did from then on. Some people have that story. But mine was like kind of a slow burn and a slow rise or a slow fall. It was more or less a slow fall than a slow rise, but a slow fall and descent into drug addiction. That slowly, it's like one little thing at a time that you're like, you know, oh, I would never do that. I would never do that. I would never do that. But then, you know, one at a time, you're like, well, maybe it's okay to do that in this situation or whatever. And slowly, one thing by another thing, you've like checked off all the things that you swore once upon a time. You're like, I'll never do this, 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 or this, or this. And slowly, one by one, we start checking them off. And slowly, one by one, the ladder of insanity, you start climbing that ladder of insanity and you start falling deeper into the hole of addiction. And by the end of it, you don't even know which way's up anymore. You know, you have no idea which way to go in life, what's right, what's wrong. For me, a big thing that fueled my addiction was my lack of faith in anything, my lack of I don't want to just say a lack of a higher power, because that's just kind of, you know, I didn't believe in God. Yeah, that's one thing. But like the way I looked at the fact that I didn't believe in God, you know, and I didn't believe there was a creator. I didn't believe there was any purpose to this world. I just kind of believed that this is a big old stupid rock, and we're all just a bunch of over-evolved monkeys and walking around on this stupid rock. And one day another big stupid rock is going to smash into this stupid rock, and we're all going to die. So what's the point in anything? Why try to push? Why try to struggle? Why try to do any of that? Why not just have fun and get high and have sex as often as you possibly can for now until we're dead? Because there's no point in anything, you know? So, and I mean, I have a huge respect for people who can have no belief in a higher power, no belief in anything like that, and still just do the right thing, just because they just know that that's what you should do, and they just do the right thing, and they just help each other and stuff like that. Because like for me, the thought that there is no higher power and that this is all, you know, it just instantly goes to, this is all pointless and there's no point in anything. So why do anything? And my brain goes to throw the towel in, you know? So for me, it's been my walk in spirituality and religion and stuff like that has been like crucial to rebuilding a life that I love and rebuilding a life that has a purpose and has a meaning and has something deeper to it, you know? Josh, Lori said she started watching you when you was only 2 years clean, Maddie, and she tried getting me to watch you, and I refused to because that was before I wanted to get clean. Thank God for you and her finding you and believing in me. Right on, Josh. I'm glad you're here, man. You're just a few days away from a big milestone as well. So keep on working what you're doing and keep going, man. And you're going to get there, and you'll be here. I'll keep lighting torches, bro. I'll keep lighting torches. You just keep following this trail we're blazing, man. Oh, Brandy, thank you so much for what you do for the recovery community. You so deserve to celebrate this 6 years clean time. Woohoo, Maddie. Thanks, Brandy. I appreciate you. Jessica, congratulations. Right on, Jessica Wisniewski. Thanks for being here. Josh, I keep carrying them, brother. Right on, man. We're gonna light candles the whole way. Lighting candles the whole way. Joni Faulkner, what's up? Congratulations, Maddie. Thank you so much, Joni. Let's see. Heck yeah, appreciate all you guys stopping by. Suresh, good morning, brother. Good to see ya. Let's see. Joni, so proud of you, brother. You're an inspiration to all of us here at the Point of Change. This is the best family. Oh, I love it here. I love it here. I wouldn't have it any other way. So let's go ahead and rewind the clock to February 3rd, 2017. Where was I at this time? Honestly, I can't tell you at like times of the day where I was. I had zero accountability in my active addiction, dude. Like I can't account for shit that happened because I was just high all the time and I was just gone. I just wasn't present. So there's no accountability on like if I tried to think, where was I at 10 o'clock in the morning on February 3rd, 2017. I have no fucking idea because I was probably awake for like a week at that point. I was tweaking balls. That much I know. I was so high at this time 6 years ago. I was so incredibly high and I was so incredibly deluded and delusioned and in a deep psychosis. My world perspective was so twisted and distorted and screwed up. My fight or flight instinct was so screwed up, like running away from the things that were going to help me, fighting the people that were trying to help me. I was just a different guy, man, for sure. But today would have been the day that I was hanging out with a certain group of friends and we were off running and gunning and hooting and hollering and doing the usual damn thing. And it was time to head back to my house. And we were coming up the highway to my dad's house. And right when we get past the trees so we can see my dad's house and his garage, and there's 3 or 4 squad cars in my dad's driveway. And I'm like, oh shit. And dude that's driving is slowing down. He's getting ready to pull into my dad's driveway. And I'm in the back seat and I'm like, no, dude, don't pull in there. And he's like, I gotta pull in now. Like we're going like 5 miles an hour, getting ready, you know, blinker on the whole 9. And I'm like, don't fucking pull in there. Fucking hit the gas. Let's go, 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 go. And he fucking, okay. So he shut the blinker off and hit the gas. Well, of course, the cops seen that. They see these fucking morons slow way down and pull up to the driveway and then turn the blinker off and take off and like a bat out of hell. Well, wonder who that could be, you know? So they know exactly whose car it was. They knew exactly where we would probably be going. So they didn't even have, I think they followed us, but I can't even say for sure that they followed us. I'm sure they just knew who the fuck we were. It's a very small area, you know, they know the cars, they know the people, they know all that stuff. So we went back to his house. I go running inside. I'm going to fucking hide in the basement, right? And so I run inside, I grab the basement door and I pull, and the fucking doorknob came off in my hand, bro, like a scene out of a movie. Like, grab that doorknob and it comes off in my hand, and I was like, oh, no, like, where do I go next? Where do I hide next? So I'm like scrambling to think, and he's like, go in my bedroom. So I'm like, great idea. So I run in his bedroom and I jump on the bed and I hide under the blankets. Straight up little kid. Shows you the mentality of a drug addict. I'm gonna hide under the blankets in the bedroom. So I hide under the blankets in the bedroom. Cops knock on the door. Dude's like, yeah, come on in. He's not here. Come on in. Take a look around. And I'm in the bedroom like, fuck, dude, you're gonna let him in and shit? What the fuck? And then the cops are in his house. Fucking dogs are barking like crazy. He's got 2 little kids. They start crying and screaming and shit. His wife is like, I'm going to put the baby in her crib. Well, her crib is in the room where I am. And if the cops are in your house, they don't just let you go walk off into another room, because you could go in there and get a gun and come back out guns a-blazing. You could go in there, you know, you could jump out the back window, whatever. So if the cops are in your house and you want to go into another room, they will watch you like a hawk when you go in there. Well, she opens the door to put the baby in the crib, and my tweaker ass, I'm just so damn curious. I just can't help myself but to look and see what's going on. I hear a door open. So my dumbass comes out from underneath the covers to look and see what's going on. And there's her with the baby and a cop with a flashlight right behind her. And he shines the flashlight right in my face. And I'm like, and he's like, whoa, what do we have here? And I went back under the blankets. I can't see you. You can't see me. I'm just going to stay under here. This is all a bad dream. None of this is happening. So then he starts screaming. That didn't make it better. It didn't make it better. Right? Going back under the blankets didn't make it one bit better. So he starts screaming, pulls his gun out. Yeah, get out of there, Mr. Jablonski, blah, blah, blah. They grab me by the boots and yank me onto the floor and throw me on my face and throw me in the cuffs in his kitchen. Now, there's straight up panic and chaos going on in this household. He's got 2 big old dogs that are running around just 2 fucking cops with the guns out, babies crying. I'm on my face getting arrested. I know, a terribly traumatic situation. I shouldn't be laughing, but the irony of where I am today compared to where I used to be just makes me laugh. I apologize for laughing through this thing, but I was so stupid, okay? I was so dumb. So he takes me outside, throws me in the back of the squad car, says, you know what this is about? And I had done a lot of bad shit. It could have been any number of things. But the only thing I could think of was I had recently missed probation for like probably the 3rd time in a row, because I was just, like I said, zero accountability. I was just gone. Like I was a unreliable meth head who would disappear for weeks on end. So I missed probation all the time, but I had recently missed probation again. So I'm like, yeah, I know what this is about. I missed probation. And he was like, not exactly, and slammed the door. And like, I can still hear the echoing silence of the back seat of that car after that door, poof, and I'm left there like, now I know you're not here for probation now, so it's got to be one of the other fucking terrible things that I do, you know? So I'm like, what did I do? Oh my God, what did I do? What did I do? Well, then they take me in and put me in jail, and they don't tell me anything. The next morning, a detective comes in to talk to me. So they pull me out of the holding cell and they bring me into this little room, and he's like, Mr. Jablonski, are you aware that there's been a string of cabin robberies in the area? And I actually didn't know about that. I actually wasn't involved in that. But I was like, no, I didn't know that. And he's like, yeah. And one of the cabins that got robbed is your buddy's cabin that is literally like a mile from my dad's house. It's like right down the road. And me and this guy have been friends since like kindergarten, but we were both drug addicts at this point. And we had beef. Okay. We were beefing. All right. Like we were both in terrible meth-induced psychoses and hated each other. Right. So his cabin got robbed. He only lives a mile from my house. We are beefing. So all signs point to I probably did it, you know? But either way, he's like, yeah, so one of the cabins that got robbed is your friends, you know? And I was like, oh, wow, no, I hadn't heard that. And he's like, yeah, they said you probably did it. And I was like, and I hadn't done it. I didn't do it. Swear to God, I didn't do it. But it didn't hit me in that moment. In that moment, I was just like, fuck them motherfuckers, assholes, like gonna rat on me and blah, 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 blah. But later on, of course, once I realized and have the recovery goggles on and figured out that, you know, that wasn't their fault. That was my fault for me getting so bad that when my friend's cabin got robbed, they thought it was me. You know, I never would have stole from him. I never would have stole from his family. We were beefing, but it wasn't like I was out to get anything from him, you know. But the fact that they thought I had done it and that I had gotten that bad that my best friends, who I knew since kindergarten, would immediately think that I had stolen from them. It's like, that was one of those things that really helped me wake up later on. But in the moment, it was just drug-induced Maddie. Just, oh, fuck them, man. You're gonna narc on me and blah, blah, blah. I didn't do shit. I didn't steal from them. I don't know. You know? Victim mentality. Oh, can't believe they did this to me. You've been a meth head for 13 years. You think you got some bad karma coming your way? Maybe a little bit. You might have a little bad karma built up. You know what I'm saying? How dare they put me in this situation? But anyway, in their investigation to this stolen gun from my friend's cabin, they found a gun that I had stolen. Yay! I can say yay now because thank God they did, because I ended up in jail and it straightened me out. But so yeah, they investigated this gun that they thought I had stolen, found out that I didn't steal that one. They actually found out that it was a 15-year-old girl, and because of the fact that I have such tiny feet, my boot prints matched the boot prints in the snow at the cabin, and it was footprints of a 15-year-old girl is what it was. A 15-year-old little girl. That's on two accounts. That's bad. Okay. One, a 15-year-old girl isn't a life of crime. That's already terrible. Two, I got such tiny fucking feet that I end up implicated in robberies and shit that a 15-year-old girl actually did. So either way, that's enough about my tiny feet. But anyway, so they find another gun that I actually did steal. I stole it from my meth dealer, and then I sold it to a felon. And then I used the money that I got from the stolen shotgun that I sold to a felon to buy more meth from the meth dealer I stole the shotgun from. I'm a smart guy. I really, you know, that's some brain stuff. You know, that takes a real smart guy to come up with such plans. And you know, I'm just the creme de la creme of the smart guys around here. Modern problems require modern solutions. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I was stupid. So anyway, they find that gun. So now I'm charged with felony theft and felony for furnishing a firearm to a felon. And what added to it, because just under 3 years before this, not quite 3 years before this, in 2014, I was arrested for possession of methamphetamine and possession of paraphernalia. I went down, I got narked out. That was another stupid situation. I knew the guy was narking on us. I knew it, and I still went along because I wanted to get high so bad that I ignored all the red flags that this guy was narking on us. Like, gave him the money. He's like, okay, I'll be right back. I'm going to go meet up with the dude. While he's gone to go meet up with his dude, I go to the gas station to buy a soda before we get on the road, right? While on my way to the gas station, I see the guy that we just gave the money to walking out of the back of the police station. See him with my two eyes. The guy that I just gave my money to go get meth is now walking out of the back of the police station. I was like, that's peculiar, but I'm still totally going to go along with this deal. Went to the gas station, got my soda, came back to the place where everybody else was waiting, told them what I just saw, told them that I just saw him walking out of the back of the cop shop and heading back this way. And they said, I think his sister-in-law lives over there somewhere. I think that's where he was going. Probably. You're probably right. Yeah, let's give the meth head the benefit of the doubt that he's not narking on us, right? Let's all jam pile into this unregistered car and go get a bunch of meth with this guy who just left the cop shop. It's probably fine. It's probably fine. You know, we wanted to get high, so it's cool. It's cool. I don't care if I go to prison for 30 years. So we go. And we end up over in a fucking stupid town, waiting on meth in the middle of the night. Me and the narc get left at a gas station for like 3 hours while everybody else in the car goes to get the meth. While I'm hanging out with the narc, we're hanging out back of a closed gas station. It is after hours. A fucking squad car pulls up in front of us and it starts inquiring what the hell we're doing hanging out around the back of a gas station after hours. You know, we tell them we're waiting on a ride and blah, 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 blah. Here, come to find out later that the reason the cop left us alone after that was because he found out that the one guy with me was a narc and that we're getting set up right now. So he didn't do anything about the fact that we're hanging out there. He left us hang out back there. So then finally, after like hours of waiting, we get back in the car. We're heading back towards fucking home. We're on the home stretch. We got everything. And there's a squad. Right when we come back into town, there's a squad car sitting there by the storage units. And he was parked there. And as soon as I seen him parked there, because there's never a cop sitting there. Never. And as soon as I seen that cop sitting there, I was like, yeah, we're done. And we didn't even drive past him yet. We're still coming up on the cop and he already puts her in drive and starts rolling out to come out behind us. So, yep, this is the day after my birthday in 2016, by the way. The day after my birthday, November 24th. So, no, in 2014, I apologize. So yeah, day after my birthday, 2014, I don't know how old would I have been, 28 years old, I guess, something like, yeah, 28. And here he pulls us over, pulls me out of the car, starts talking to me. Oh yeah, first comes up, gets everybody's IDs from us and asks if anybody in the car is on probation or parole. My dumb ass, I just go silent. I'm like, I'm not telling him that I'm on probation. You know, maybe he won't find out that I'm on probation. Maybe the cop who has a computer in his car, who's going to go run my name, won't find out that I'm on probation. That's how dumb drugs make you, okay? That's just a small example of how dumb drugs will make you. So he comes back to the car, asks if I will step out of the car, brings me to the back of the car, asks me why I lied to him that I'm on, you know, he's like, you knew, you know, you're on probation, we could tell. And I was like, I just didn't want to admit it in front of my friends and blah, 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 blah. And he's like, is there anything in this vehicle that I need to know about? And I was like, nope, there's nothing in there, that's for sure. We're just a bunch of really good guys with our eyes sunk in our heads. That's all we are. No, please don't excuse my one tooth and the eyes that are sunk into my head and my skinny ass little frail body. I am 100% not on methamphetamine, sir. So anyways, he comes back and informs me that because I'm on probation, well, he's like, is there anything in the car I need to know about? I'm like, no, man, I swear to God, nothing in the car, blah, blah, blah. I just want to get home, just want to get home, just want to get home. He's like, well, can I search the vehicle? And I was like, I'm going to express my rights as an American and tell you no, you cannot search my vehicle. And he was like, okay, all right. And he's like, all right, well, have a good night. And he shook my hand and I turned to walk away and he goes, Matt, just one more thing. Oh boy, it's never good when the cop says just one more thing. Just a second ago, I was like, he's shaking my hand. He's telling me to have a good day. It's over. I pulled it off. I'm a fucking criminal mastermind, bro. These cops are going to drive away. I'm going to get away with this. No, he's like, just one more thing, Mr. Jablonski. I'm like, yeah, what's up? He's like, because you're on probation, I don't actually need a warrant to search this vehicle. We just got the call that your probation officer gave us the go-ahead to search the vehicle anyway. And I was like, heart drops instantly, like, oh, we're screwed. We're so screwed. So he frickin' searches the vehicle, finds everything. Of course, nobody would admit to it, so everybody gets the charge. If you didn't know that, if you think you're going to get away with a crime because nobody admits to it, you don't get away with it. They just charge everybody with it because not one of you said it was yours. So now all of you get a meth charge. So I went to jail for a very little while. That was one of my first times I got caught with illicit drugs. Everything before that was parking tickets and speeding tickets and stuff like that. It was never about drugs before that. This was the first time I'm actually getting busted with an amount of drugs. So the judge was cool. The judge, even though I wasn't, okay, I was a freaking deceitful, horrible little person. And I'm still a little person, but at least I'm not deceitful and horrible anymore. But so yeah, I go into court, and because it was my first time and I'm a nice guy and I'm well-spoken and blah, 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 the judge was like, we're going to cut you a break and blah, 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 blah. And he gave me a deferred prosecution, which means if you're good for the next X amount of time, which he determined was 3 years, if you're good, and by good, he means just don't commit another felony for 3 years. If I got a ticket or a misdemeanor, something like that, it's fine, whatever, it's not fine, but it wouldn't affect this charge. As long as I don't get a felony for the next 3 years, that would have been expunged and it would be gone and I wouldn't have to worry about it. So I was like, no problem. I can totally make it 3 years without getting another felony. Shit. So here we are, February 3rd, 2017. If I would have made it till November, it would have been 3 years. So I just shy of making that 3-year mark. And here I am getting caught. Felony theft and felony furnishing a firearm to a felon. So now I got these 2 new felony charges. So there goes the deferred prosecution. Now you're also getting hit with felony possession of methamphetamine. So really snowballs on you. It really snowballs this life of crime. But at that time, and February 3rd, 2017, after, a few days after that or whatever, they couldn't, if you know anything about the judicial system, it takes a year for you to actually get sentenced and charged for everything you're going through. But what all those felony charges meant was I was being revoked off of my probation. That's what I was being charged with at that time. So they brought me into court, went over all of the new charges that I have, went over the deferred prosecution that I'm now getting hit with, went over all of the probation visits that I had missed. This at the time felt very shameful and I felt very guilty, but I so needed it. To have a judge actually sit you down and read out loud in front of a bunch of people all of the horrible things that you've been doing for the past 3+ years, and to call out that you have missed 13 probation visits in the past 2 years. More than half of my probation visits I had missed in 2 years. To hear all of that laid out before me was kind of like, wow. And then he gets done and he looks at me and he says, Mr. Jablonski, normally in a revocation case, I like to weigh the good with the bad. But in your case, sir, there simply is no good. Talk about a punch to the face. Talk about a huge realization that my whole life I was always called the good kid. I was always like when I went to hang out with my friends, like their parents were, if I was going, they were like, oh, Matt Jablonski's going to be there. Oh, well, then you can totally go because he's a good kid and he's a nice kid. Like everybody always said I was such a nice kid and I was so good and blah, blah, blah. And now here I am sitting in front of a judge and he can't find nothing good about me to give me a break on this sentence right now. It was just very humbling, a very humbling experience. And then he said that if ever there was a case where the max penalty should be imposed and ran concurrent or ran consecutive, which means back to back, they can run your charges either consecutive or concurrent, which means if they're ran concurrent, that means like if you get 6 months and 1 month, both of them are side by side, so that 1 month gets served while you're serving the 6 months. You see what I mean? So you end up with a max of 6 months. And that's all they could charge me with at that time was possession of THC, because I was on probation for possession of THC and possession of paraphernalia. The possession of THC is 6 months in jail. Possession of paraphernalia was 30 days in jail. Those are the max that you can do. So the judge was like, I'm going to run those and I'm going to run them consecutive, which means you don't do 6 months with 1 month in the middle. You do 6 months with the 1 month stacked on, and whatever the times that you got to sit, they stack them end for end. So for me, it was 7 months. Then they go over my time credited. Now, if you go to jail for probation holds or for a one-nighter, because you got caught doing something, but you never got sentenced, you just sat a one night in jail and then got out before you go to court kind of thing. All of that time that you sit behind bars goes as time credited because it wasn't actually going towards a crime. It was just you were being detained, you were being held while they decided some things. So that time you actually get credit for that. So they went over all of the times that I had been thrown in for a probation violation, that I had picked up another charge but was just sitting waiting for court. All the weeks that my probation officer put me in for failing different piss tests. They stacked up all that time to see what kind of time credited I would get. And I had racked up 4 months of time credited in just the last 2 years of, a little plus, two plus years there. I had racked up 4 months of time sat. So that was another eye-opening thing, like to realize that in the past 2.5 years, you've missed out on 4 months of your life sitting in jail on different occasions, So 7 months was my sentence, got credited 4 months. So I had to sit 97 days was what it came down to. So I had to sit 97 days in this jail. And in that time, a lot of stuff happened that opened my eyes. My mom came to visit me for the first time ever. I'd been to jail many times, and my dad was always the one that come to visit me. That time, my mom came to see me. That was the first time looking at my mom through that glass, the first time seeing her cry, the first time me in that orange jumpsuit. We didn't even know what to talk about when she came to visit me. Like, she didn't even know where to begin. Like, what do you say? I know better. She knows I know better, and there's nothing she can say that's going to help me or stop me from doing what I'm doing. So all she could do is just sit there. And that hurt. That hurt more than her yelling at me. If she had come in there and been like, you are such a disappointment, and I can't believe this, and look where you're at now, and blah 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 blah, I could have spun it on her in my head. I could have turned it and used my victim mentality and been like, whatever, mom, you're going to kick me while I'm down, I'm in jail and you're going to come in here and yell at me, blah, 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 blah. And I could have spun it in my head to be, she's the bad guy, you're the good guy. But she didn't give me that ammo. She just sat there and tried to stop herself from crying and asked me when I was going to get out and if I had any kind of a plan. And she did say, I'm not going to lecture you. You know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. And it was just totally defused the situation. So I couldn't turn it on her. I couldn't use that against her, you know. Instead, it was all, it put the fault where it belonged, on me, you know. So so that was another huge wake-up call. My friends, you know, at the time going to my house and stealing all my stuff, and my girlfriend at the time cheating on me, and all the usual stuff that happens when you go to jail, which wasn't new to me. Like a lot of that, like other than my mom coming to visit me, like that was the only relatively new thing that happened. I'd been to jail many times. I'd done all this before. Everybody stole my stuff every time I went to jail. My girlfriend cheated on me every time I went to jail. That was the life I had sown seeds into. That's what I was reaping, what I had sown, you know. But this time it was just different. This time, I guess I was just sick and tired of being sick and tired, is what it comes down to. Finally had enough things open my eyes. And a big thing that I can't stress enough, even though I didn't stick with NA and AA, NA and AA in the beginning, there was a guy who came into that jail who would run an NA course every week. He would just come, and he didn't do a formal NA meeting. He just taught I don't even want to say taught. He just held a drug class in the library at the jail once a week. It was called NA or AA, but it wasn't like we came in there and sat through readings or anything. It was just an open share, come in, let's just talk, you know, kind of situation. And the one day, my bunkmate there, he was a full-blown meth addict just like me. There was a lot of people in there were full-blown meth addicts, which another thing that was a wake-up call for me was while I was in there, and it seemed like every single person who came in that cell was excited to see me. They were like, oh, Maddie, sweet, oh man, you introduced me to this drug or whatever, blah blah blah. Like, and it was like, wow, I'm famous in a jail cell. That's not a good feeling when every person that's coming through the door knows you or has heard about you or has seen you before, you know? So that was a wake-up call as well. But either way, my cellmate, they came in and called for NA and AA, and my cellmate, who is another full-blown meth addict, stood up and went to the door. And I was like, you go to NA? And he looked at me and he goes, dude, it gets me out of the cell for an hour, and we go to the library and we sit around, we get to see other people from the other cells, and we just talk about drugs. And sometimes they let you bring a book back if you come. And I was like, huh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I could do that. So I signed up for the next week. I signed up to go to the library and just get out of the cell for an hour, see some faces you don't normally see, maybe get a book, you know. But I didn't know they were planting seeds in there. They were farming in that meeting. They were down there sowing seeds is what they were doing. So my attempt to just get myself out of the cell for an hour and see some strange faces ended up with me learning a thing or two and seeing firsthand the guy who ran the meeting. I guess I wouldn't even call it a meeting, just like a drug. Like I said, it was just a drug conversation. But seeing him, and he right away shook my, when you come into the library, like when you're in jail, other than the other fucking inmates coming in who know you from the outside, nobody's happy to see you. Like the jailers aren't happy to see you. The judge isn't happy to see you. Most of the guys in the cell, if they don't know you, they're not happy to see you either. They're freaking mean mugging you from across the jail and shit. So when I went to that first NA meeting and I walk in the door and the guy running, his name was Charlie, he was so happy to see me, because as I know now, because you're in recovery and this is an opportunity to help to get somebody out of that drug addicted life, So when you see a skinny little guy with no teeth come walking into your meeting, that's a freaking amazing thing. And that is freaking awesome to see him, possibly thinking about recovery. So now I see why he was so happy to meet me, but at the moment it was just kind of like, wow, shook his hand and he's just wanted to know all about me. And he was just so happy to see me and stuff. And it was just it's a very good feeling because it's an attitude you don't see a lot in jail. It's now nobody runs over to shake your hand in jail. Like, oh, wow, it's so good to see you here, man. How you doing? I'm Charlie. Good to know you. What's your name, man? Like, he was so happy to see me. And then we got started and he kind of just shared his story and talked about how he'd done every drug on the planet, but alcohol was his drug of choice. And how everything that, the pills and all the drugs he was doing and everything ultimately ended up with him stealing a Camaro and crashing it into a ravine, ended up in the hospital. And that was his point of change. That was when he decided he needed to make some changes in his life, and he found recovery. And now he's 100% clean and sober, doing NA meetings in jails. And he seemed happy, he seemed happy, and he seemed like he had a good life. And that was my first time being exposed to somebody who had quit drugs and was now doing good. Because in my active addiction, I had a few friends who stepped away from drugs or whatever, but they either ended up coming back or I never seen them again, and wouldn't remember them anyways because they were, you didn't see them again. So I never seen anybody make recovery work. I never seen anybody in my lifestyle that could pull it off, that stepped away and is doing good. So seeing that was huge, instrumental in me even thinking that it's possible, even to think that it's even possible. That was huge. And obviously I got out and I didn't stick with the program because obviously you guys know my recovery, that we obviously don't see eye to eye on a few things. But the things that I learned in those meetings and the things that I still learn from people in NA are pivotal to recovery. They really are. And I'm very happy with the time that I spent in NA, even though it was a short period of time. Very thankful for it because before I left, well, actually, I'll tell you the first thing I ever asked. We were doing that drug class, and after Charlie shared his story and stuff, and he's like, any of you guys got anything you want to talk about? Questions, comments, concerns, stuff like that? And it's my first time ever going to a meeting, even though it wasn't like a formal meeting or anything, but I raised my hand right away. Like my soul started to come alive in that first meeting. My soul started to come alive. He was like, all right, we're going to fucking pay attention because I'm tired of body and mind running the show around here. Soul needs some time, man. So my soul came forward and wanted to know things. And so I raised my hand and he's like, yeah, go ahead. And I was like, how do you forgive yourself for all the bad shit you've done? Because I've done so much bad stuff. And I figured I had to kill myself, honestly. For years before that day, I figured the only answer to my self-hatred and the shame and the guilt that I felt inside of myself over everything I had done in my addiction, I thought the only answer was I was going to have to kill myself. That's where it was going to have to go. That was the way I seen my life ending for a long time. And I asked him, how do you forgive yourself? Because he seemed like, for a person who had done pretty much all the same shit I had done, how can you sit there and smile? How can you sit there and feel any kind of happiness? How can you look at your past and not instantly break down and cry? So I asked him, how do you forgive yourself for all the bad shit you've done? And I think that was a really important question for me to ask. Because all my life, people had always told me, you need to forgive yourself. I've forgiven you already. You need to forgive yourself. And I could never figure out how to do it. No idea. What do? Look in the mirror and say, I'm sorry? It doesn't work. I've done it a million times. I still feel like a piece of shit. So I asked him, how do you forgive yourself for all the bad shit you've done? And he said, by receiving forgiveness from others, you'll begin to forgive yourself. And I mean, in a way, he was referencing making amends, but it was something tangible. It was something that I could put action into. It wasn't just, hey, you should forgive yourself. You need to forgive yourself with no instruction, zero on how to do that. Just, you need to forgive yourself, So when he told me, by receiving forgiveness from others, you'll begin to forgive yourself. It was like, that's something I can actually put into practice. That's something I can actually apply. That's something I can actually physically do and possibly have an outcome from it. Like, sweet. Thank God for actual instruction. And then we talked a lot about the step of, actually taking account of everything you'd ever done wrong. Actually take a piece of paper and write down every single thing that you've ever done wrong. List them out, every person you've ever wronged, write them down, everything you ever can think of. If you stole a cookie from the cookie jar when you were a little kid, write it down. If you frickin', stole from your family, whatever, write it down. If you did whatever, just write it down. And that night, I actually went back to the cell and I sat down with a piece of paper. And because at first I was like, that's an overwhelming thought, right? Like, I've done a lot of bad shit. And you want me to actually document it all? There's no way I'd ever be able to write it all down. There's no way I'd ever be able to think of it all. No way, you know? But I started the list that night. That night, you're in jail. You got nothing to do. What are you going to do? Go outside? No, can't do that. So I sat down with a piece of paper and just started from whatever I could think of. Because, the next problem was, where do you even start? Do you have to do it in chronological order? And then I was like, no, like I'm not going to try and chronologically order them. I'm just going to, whatever, as the people come to my mind, I'm going to write their name down and I'm going to write what I did wrong next to it. So I sat there and I did that for hours. I sat there and I wrote a name, and then I wrote, introduced to meth, or wrote another name, stole from, wrote another name, punched, wrote another name, did this, wrote another name, did this. And I just went down and down and down. And I can't say that I listed every single thing that I ever did wrong, but I listed enough to where I was able to sit there and look back at it and go, wow, dude, like, wow, look what you've been doing, and actually be able to see that on paper. That was all just huge pivotal stuff to really help this all sink in. And then I got out of jail May 10th, 2017. And I had a message from my buddy Ryan, who every time I'd gone to jail, every single time I went to jail, when I got out, I had a message from Ryan saying, if you ever want to try something different, you can move down here to Whitewater and, try living down here or whatever. And as somebody who was so ingrained with instant gratification, the idea of moving 4 hours away from everything I ever known, and, I knew that I would have to not do drugs. I knew that Ryan would stop me from doing drugs. So it was like, I came up with every excuse I could to not do that. As soon as he would bring it up, it would instantly, the addiction and depression, everything in me would kick, and would, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. How would you even make it? You don't have any money. You're not going to make, you're not going to have an apartment. You're not going to be able to do this. You're not going to be able to do that. You're not going to be able to do meth. So I would always come up with an excuse. Either I got a new girlfriend, or I got a new job, or I got to be here for my dad, or whatever it was. But even the real ones, like I had to be there for my dad. Technically, that was a pretty true thing in a way. But it was just an excuse, Somebody else would have been there for my dad, and somebody else was. When I actually eventually did move away and find recovery, somebody else was there to take care of my dad. So it was just an excuse. But I gave myself as many excuses that if you argue with me on it, you're a dick. You know what I mean? Like, like when somebody gives you an excuse that, like, it's like one of those things that if you dispute it, you look like an asshole. If they're actually true, you look like an asshole. I loved those kind of excuses because I could use them, and you're not going to dispute it because you look like a dick if you say, oh, you don't have to be there for your dad. You know what I mean? Like, that's a dick thing to say. So I loved those kind of excuses because it got people off my back really quick. So I always had an excuse for them, but this time I had my perspective had started to change this time. This time was different. This visit to jail was a little different. So when I got out, I had that same message, Ryan hitting me up saying, hey man, if you ever want to try it out down here. But this time was also different in the wording of his message. Instead of this, hey, you can move down here, man, move down here and, change your life. This time he just said, why don't you come down here and stay on my couch for a week and see if you can find a job? See if it works out. If you can't find a job, if it doesn't work for any reason, I'll take you back home. No harm, no foul. Come get you today, bring you back home in a week if it doesn't work out. And I was like, I could do that. That wasn't so bad for my instant gratification brain, because when your brain is so tuned to instant gratification, making big life-changing movements like that is overwhelming instantly to and having, commitment issues. I could never commit to something like that, but to just try it out for a week, no harm, no foul. In a week, if I'm not happy with it, I can come back home and go back to meth. Sweet. Let's go back, So I came down for a week and then another, but I came down for a week, and it all worked out. And I mean, it's a kind of a, I could keep going. I kind of want to share my story Sunday night here on the page. So if you want to hear the rest, maybe I should just stop there. No, I don't know. I'll just share my story all the time. That's okay too. But yeah, moving down here and everything just fell into place, man. Everything literally just fell into place. Like I got down here, I think on a Monday, and that Wednesday I went looking for a job, and I had in my mind to self-sabotage. I am guilty as charged as a self-saboteur. I love to fuck myself over. Did it for years, and it worked wonderfully for me. So when I first got down here, I had that mindset. I was going to fuck myself out of this. I was going to screw this up, and I was going to go back to meth. So I decided my plan was I would come down here, I would make it look like I was trying, and then I would make it not work out, and I would go back home. That was literally what I planned on doing when I came down here. No bullshit. But God had other plans. But God, right there. But God. So Wednesday, I decide I'm gonna go out, and my plan was to go around town, collect a bunch of applications from businesses, and bring them back to Ryan's house, and then I would either fill them out and then throw them away, or whatever I was gonna do to make it look like I was making an effort, but not actually be making an effort was my plan. So I went around to collect applications. First place I stopped at was a factory on the edge of town here. I went in to grab an application. Told her, hey, I'm looking for a job. I'm here to grab an application. And she was like, oh, actually, she says, we're doing walk-in interviews today. You fill out an application and you get an interview on the spot. And I was like, instantly my plan is now going out the window. So the belly started churning, and I'm like, oh man. And I'm like, well, I don't know if I'll have time to bring it back today. I'll just, take it with me. And yeah, I guess maybe I'll come back today if I can make it back, And she goes, oh, you don't take it with you. It's on a computer right here in the lobby, right over there. There's some computer booths, and you fill out the application right here. And I was like, well, I don't have my information with me because I had a really shitty past and I had a horrible work record. So another example of God taking away my plan to fail and my plan to lie. Ryan and I had decided, I mainly talked Ryan into it, that in order to get a job, I was going to have a fake work history. So we sat down with paper and pencil and wrote up a fake work history for me. We got a hold of some of my old buddies. We were like, hey, Maddie's going to fill out some applications. Can we put down that he worked for you for like 2 years? If they call you, you just tell them that, yeah, he worked for you, good worker, blah, 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 kind of thing like that. And they were all like, oh yeah, cool. We'll totally do that. We'll totally do that. So I had this fake work history made up of like fake construction jobs that I really didn't have. I actually had a horrible work history. But I had left that at home because I was going to use it for filling out the applications when I got back to the house with a stack of applications. So that was my next excuse for her. She's like, oh, you can fill it out here. There's computers in the lobby. And I was like, oh, I don't have my information with me. I don't have my work history and stuff with me. And she goes, it's fine. Honey, just fill it out. Just fill it out the best you can. We'll get you we'll get you a interview. And I was like, okay. So I went over to that computer, and like I said, I didn't have my fake work history with me. And all I could think of was the truth. I couldn't remember the lies that we had made up the night before. All I could think of was my actual work history, which was terrible. So I filled it out with the truth. And I remember while I was filling it out with the truth, my self-sabotage brain went, well, this will probably work. There's no way they're going to hire me if I actually use the truth on this thing. So I filled it out 100% correctly where it asks for, your criminal record. I literally wrote, I can't think of it all right now, but I do have a lengthy criminal background, like fucking tried to get myself out of this job. They called me back for the interview, and then it was like, well, now I can't go back here and fluff this. I got to go back here and actually try. Something in me told me to actually try. So I went back there and, went through the interview, and he was like, you know what, we're going to give you a shot. we're going to give you a shot. You can start Monday, like blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, really? Okay, I guess. So came back out to the car, like, I got a job. I start Monday. And Ryan was like, really? Holy shit, man. No way. Do you need boots? Let's go get you some boots. Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah. He was all pumped about it. I was kind of crushed. Here, my self-sabotage plan went out the window. And my first year of recovery was very, very, I really look at it as stagnant time, but I guess in the rear view, I look back and I can see how I was working in a way. Like I kept a job and I stayed at Ryan's house and I paid, he didn't ask me to pay much for rent, but I paid my rent and I paid a little extra for food and groceries and stuff like that. And I kept my job. I was going through counseling. I went through group counseling. I went through individual counseling. I went through AODA counseling. So I was building something, but I had not woken up yet. That first year of recovery was still very much a constant struggle to not throw in the towel. A constant battle to tell myself I can do this for another day or another hour. I can keep going. I just got to keep doing. Even though I didn't want to do any of the stuff, I knew it was what I was supposed to do, so I was very robotic in that sense. I was on autopilot. I was doing things. I was doing the right things, but not because I wanted to do the right thing, but because I knew that I was supposed to do the right thing. So I was just doing what I knew I was supposed to do without actually wanting to do it, if that makes sense. But all those things that I was doing, they weren't blossoming yet, obviously. When you don't just plant a seed and instantly get a flower. You got to plant a seed and then it takes time and water and sun and all those things before you eventually get the crop to come up. But I was about a year into my recovery, almost the year anniversary of me moving down here. May 10th, 2017, I moved to Whitewater. May 7th, 2018, just 3 days shy of 1 year later, my dad passed away. And when my dad passed away, and I was there for him. Like when they told me my dad was going to pass away, like I got up there like right away. I moved things around. I traveled up north. I went to see my dad, and I was there for him. And that's huge. That's huge. I held his hand and told him it was going to be okay if he had to go, and then he left, and that woke me up. It wasn't just him passing away, but the whole process made sense all of a sudden. All of a sudden, it all became real. It wasn't just me going through the motions. I mean, it was like the timing couldn't have been more perfect for me to make it over that year mark. For me, I literally had just graduated my AODA counseling, like days before he passed away. I got my diploma. And it was like, so I was actually able to tell him for real, like without lying, I was able to tell him, I graduated my AODA class, Dad. I've got over a year clean now, Dad. I'm doing good down there, Dad. If you need to go, you can go, And I told him I was good in the past, but it was always a lie. It was always a lie. So it was like, all of a sudden, it all made sense. It all made sense that I, found recovery on that time, that I was over a year clean at this point, that I was able to be there for my dad. Like, that was huge. Like, and it was all like finally the big picture of things, that this had to happen, that I had to find recovery that day, that I had to move away, that I had to stay away for a year, that I had to be here on this day, like it all finally clicked and made sense. And then on my way home, I got pulled over and thrown back in jail. And I'm very thankful for that as well. That's another huge pivotal point in my story. I struggle with depression, always have. I've struggled with suicidal thoughts most of my life, and anxiety, and drug addiction. And when my dad passed away, And then I went back to jail, like a place that I swore I would never go back to jail. And here I am. Now my dad's dead. I'm back in jail. It took me every dime I had saved. I had to pay that to pay my bail to get myself out of jail. So my car was impounded and it was gone. So everything that I had worked for up until that point is now gone, and my dad's dead, and I'm back in jail again. By all accounts, people probably thought I was going to relapse. People probably thought I was going to kill myself. People probably thought that I would, go into a shell. I mean, by all accounts, they would have been right too. Like, I would have thought that that's what I would have done when my dad passed away. Honestly, up until my dad passed away, in the back of my mind, that was going to be another excuse for me to relapse. I remember thinking about it, like thinking that, well, my dad's not in the best shape, and when he passes away, nobody would blame me if I relapsed after that. Nobody would blame me if I killed myself after that, and it was one of those thoughts that I had that, oh, when dad passes away, I can relapse. And I know that's a horrible thought, but that's one of the thoughts that the addiction had put in my mind, was when dad passes away, nobody would blame me for relapsing, and then it happened, and I went the other way. I didn't relapse. I got better. I got stronger. I found God. I started sharing my story. I started helping other people. I wanted more people's parents to feel that feeling that my dad got. I want more people's parents to be able to, when their time comes, to be able to step into that light happy and excited, and knowing that their children are okay, and knowing that you guys are okay, that they can let go peacefully. They don't have to be here to be the safety net anymore, that you got this. I wanted to help more people find recovery and make it work, so that their parents can pass away peacefully. That might be a strange way to put it, but that's exactly where my urge came from. It wasn't necessarily to help the addicts themselves. It was the heart that I grew for my dad in that moment made me want other people's parents to feel that same ability to be at such peace, and to let go so peacefully. It was a beautiful thing, and I'm very thankful for that opportunity that my dad gave me, that he allowed me to be there as he passed away. That's one of the greatest gifts he ever gave me, was that right there. So yeah, I went to jail after his funeral, got pulled over for a cracked windshield, and I went to jail because I was on probation and a million other things. But I got put in on a probation hold again, and I sat 2 weeks in a meth-infested county. And but while I was in there was a guy that was leading a Bible study at the table, and I heard him preaching, and I was not a believer, not at all. Still called Jesus the spaghetti monster at that time. But when you're in a jail cell and you're just over a year clean, and your dad just passed away, and you really do not want to go back to that old lifestyle, and everybody around you is talking about meth, and talking about how when they get out they're going to do this, and talk about where they shoot up at, and talking about this, talking about that, and all of a sudden I heard a positive voice. It didn't matter what he was talking about. He was talking about Jesus, but it didn't matter what he was talking about. He was being positive. That's what attracted me to that circle, was out of all these voices talking about meth and crime and this, that, the other thing, here's this guy over at a table, and he's being super positive and super happy and talking about love and grace and mercy and all these beautiful things. And I realized, when I heard him, I don't know how long I'm going to be here, because it's a probation hold. It could be whatever. And paperwork in the government doesn't go fast, so you get arrested, and I was in a different county too. I wasn't in the county that I'm on probation on, I wasn't in the county that I'm on probation in. I was on probation down here, and I was in jail up in a different county. So when that happens, you got to wait for transport. You got to wait for the paperwork to file through to your probation officer, and then your probation officer has to fill it out and give it to her supervisor, and then the supervisor has to turn it back in. And it's a whole process. So you could be there a while waiting on transport. So when I heard him being positive over there, it was like, all of a sudden, I just got the thought that you can't stay in this bed. You're a social butterfly. You need to talk to people. Like, get up and go talk to them. At least they're not talking about dope. Doesn't matter that they're talking about Jesus and I don't believe in Jesus. They're not talking about dope. So let's go talk to those guys. So I went over there and I sat in and I started talking to those guys and I started sharing my story with them and started, just opening up and letting the grieving process happen for my father. And through that Bible study and sharing with those guys, and I really befriended the guy who was leading that Bible study. His name was Shane, and I really befriended him. He gave me this Bible. He gave me this Bible before I left, and he really taught me that what I have inside of me is a gift from God. That my ability to talk to people. As simple as that sounds, and as simple as that is, my ability to talk to people. He showed me how freaking crazy that really is, because, well, the way he said it was, Matt, I've watched you since you came in here, and it doesn't matter who comes through that door. If they come in and they're 18 years old and this is their first time in jail, you're over there talking to them. If they come in and they're covered from head to toe in tattoos and pierced ear to ear, you're over there talking to them. If they look like the toughest, meanest son of a bitch in the world, you're over there talking to them. Like, you can talk to anybody. He said, that's a gift. He said, I've tried to reach people and can't. You don't even try and you can reach people. That's something beautiful inside of you. And he told me that I was wasting that beautiful gift by working in a factory. He told me that I really needed to start something, to start sharing, to start helping people. So he's a huge reason why I started this page right there. Karen, your Bible is a masterpiece from him. Oh, isn't it beautiful? Well, I mean, this is a book cover that my mom made this. This is actually, it looks leather, but it's actually a technique that my mom does. She makes paper look like leather. So I asked my mom to make a book cover for me, and then I bought this cross from Walmart in the automotive section. They have these crosses there. So yeah, it's quite customized, but that's my Bible that I got from Shane. And yeah, he really got me to really start thinking about Jesus and to really start thinking about having a higher power. And sharing my story, and showed me that I had something beautiful inside of me. I can't give him enough credit for where I'm at. I can't give him enough credit for that. That's for sure. He really helped me start this page, without even knowing it. He helped me start this page. On that note, I should mention that Shane didn't make it in recovery. He didn't pass away, but you meet people for a reason. Sometimes they help you get farther in your life, and then unfortunately they fall back or stay where they were, and sadly Shane went back out and ended up dealing a lethal dose of heroin to a woman, and now he's in prison for murder. So just another reason to be thankful for where I am and for how I have continued to push forward with what he taught me. And another reason to know how fortunate we are to make it out, I've written a letter to him since then. I haven't heard anything back, but yeah, that was a hard pill to swallow when I found that out. I tried to find him years afterwards. I've occasionally tried to look him up and tried to talk to him since then. When I first got out, and it was after he first got out, I found him on Facebook and I seen that he was active, and I was like, holy crap, like Shane, So I hit him up with a message and was like, hey man, do you remember me? And he hit me back and was like, yeah, I sure do, bro. How's it going? and I unloaded my love on him. And so I right away hit him back with a message like, dude, you changed my life, bro. Like ever since, I got out and my life exploded. I got my own apartment now. Like I got my license back. I got teeth. I got my little doggy back. I'm trying to help other people, bro. And like, I'm really trying. And I sent it to him and he ghosted me after that. Like he didn't block me, but he looked at it and then he never even responded, never even started typing. And when you just get that feeling, you just like, you don't want to admit out loud even that you think he's relapsed, that I feel like that's, I don't want to jump to conclusions or anything, but when he didn't respond to that, it hit me right away. It was like, I don't think he's doing it anymore, and I waited on that for quite a while, and it was like a year after that or something that I tried to look him up and tried to see, where he is, and first thing that come up on Google was the murder case against him, that he was sentenced to X amount of years in prison because he dealt a lethal dose to a woman. And boy, that dropped me right to my knees when I found that out. That really sucked. But I really hope that God uses it for good. And I really hope that, because obviously Shane had a hard time in the real world. He really had a hard time in the real world. Heroin addict before I met him. But when he was behind those bars, he was so full of love and full of light and helping people. And if from what he said to me, I got out and look what I did, so maybe that is part of Shane's purpose, is for him to be inside there so that he can continue to read the word and continue to help God's mission. Maybe he's in prison right now reading the Bible to people, and maybe people that have ran into him again will go out and do some awesome things. And I hope he sees that, and I hope he uses that gift inside. Obviously, God needs him in there for something, But it's just one of those reasons to be thankful, guys, and one of those reasons to keep pushing. We got to keep pushing, and we got to keep planting seeds and keep passing that torch forward. I don't want to share my entire story here today because I would like to share all this again on Sunday evening. So I'm not going to go any farther with my story, but I will go farther with my experience. I'd like to share with you guys some of the things that I've learned in my recovery, some of the things that have really helped me get to 6 years, because like I said before, you don't get to 6 years by accident, and we covered a lot of the stuff right there in that section of the story I just told you. But some of the stuff that's really helped me, one day at a time. When I first came into recovery, and honestly, before it all clicked, in my first year of recovery, I hated that saying. I absolutely hated the saying, one day at a time, and this too shall pass. Of course this is going to pass. Of course time keeps going. And of course I'm going to take it one day at a time, because that's how time works. I hated it when people said one day at a time and this too shall pass. Absolutely despised it, because it was just like, what do you mean? What the fuck do you mean one day at a time? Of course I'm going to do one day at a time, because I'm right here, But once recovery clicked, those recovery cliches that used to absolutely drive me insane. Now, you look around, I got a whole poster full of cliches behind me. I have my own cliche: stay happy, stay healthy, stay clean. I recite those recovery cliches to myself on a daily basis. I find myself saying, this too shall pass, and one day at a time, man. But when I first heard them, I hated them. But now they're instrumental to my recovery. One day at a time, once I actually broke it down, I don't remember if I broke it down like this or if somebody told me this, I can't remember. But when you break it down into questions, you ask yourself, can I do this for one more day? Whatever it is, whether it be addiction, whether it be a toxic relationship, whether it be even for something good, can you continue building your career kind of thing? can you do this for one more day? And if the answer is yes, awesome, then go one more day. If the answer is no, I can't make it one more day. Well, then drop it down a little bit. Can you make it one more hour? Can you go one more hour without going back to that old lifestyle? Can you go one more hour? And if your answer is yes, awesome, then go one more hour and ask yourself again. We'll revisit this in an hour. If the answer is no, then go smaller. Can you make it one more minute? Can you just make it one more minute without going back to that old lifestyle? If the answer is no to that, go even smaller. Can I go one more second? And if you go small enough, the answer becomes yes. Once you get down to 1 second, well, of course you can make it one more second without going and doing that. So just keep making it one more second. That's all you got to do. Just make it one more second. And then we'll revisit. We'll continuously revisit if you're still feeling this way, but just make it one more second down this road, And if you go small enough, and plus making it for a long time in my recovery, I went 1 second at a time, in the sense that I found out that there are 86,400 seconds in a day. If you didn't know that, that's a fact for you. There are 86,400 seconds in every single day. And if you can use as many of them as you can for positive, it works out great. I started to really break it down like that. And that really started to help. That helped me a lot in early recovery, in the sense of like answering emails and doing those small little things that really cause a lot of anxiety in me. I realized like, only takes like 30 seconds or a minute to, to send an email or to make that phone call to get, a payment plan set up or whatever it is. It only takes like 30 seconds or a minute. You still got 86,330 seconds after that, so that really helped me in breaking up my time in my day and keeping myself focused, was that 86,400 seconds. And you get those every single day, What else is a big lesson I've learned? What's a big lesson I've learned? I think the biggest thing is just the small changes we make. The small changes we make. That recovery on the whole is such a huge change, and it's an overwhelming, daunting task, because you don't even realize all the stuff you got to work on when you come into this. When you first come in, you have a very vague idea of what you want. All you know is you don't want to live the way you've been living. You don't even know if this is the right answer, if this is going to fix it. Is this going to make it worse? What is this going to do if I quit drugs? You really don't know until you're doing it, So not looking at the whole picture and just taking it one thing at a time, and one little change at a time. And over time, those little changes that you make and then apply to your life and continuously do will add up to be one big change in your life. And eventually you look back and you're like, wow, like my life is completely different now. And it didn't get here, it's not like a jump, it's like a one step at a time, one tiny little movement, one tiny little adjustment, one tiny little change along the way. And eventually you look back at this crazy change that you've made in your life. And my advice to anybody else that's, not living the life you want to live, or, is it's amazing what can happen in a short period of time. It's amazing what you can do with just a few years of time. Like, you might not be in the right place right now, or the place you want to be, but in 6 years' time, your life can be completely different. Like 6 years ago, I was addicted to meth, had one tooth in the front of my face, weighed about 100 pounds soaking wet, and I was being thrown in the back of a squad car for the umpteenth time in my life. Now I sit here with 6 years since I touched meth, and I sit here in my apartment with my beautiful fiance, with my doggies, with my license, with my car, with my job, with my career, with a support system, with all this awesome stuff, in just 6 years, not even a decade. Not even a decade. And it's not like and it didn't take till right now for me to get all this stuff. I've been slowly getting all this stuff. So it's been cool the whole way, so just keep working forward. Just keep working forward. Let's see, Melissa, right where there's a will, there's a way. Doesn't mean it's not going to hurt, though. Amen. Amen. Melissa, would you say now that your will is as strong to stay sober that your will was to get drugs when you were using? I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Do you think that I have, like, yeah. Would I say that? I don't know. Because I guess maybe in the beginning that was something I would say, because you got to chase your recovery like you used to chase the drugs. You got to be willing to do anything. You got to be willing to even do the things that you're like, that's not going to help me. That's not going to work. Or that sounds weird. Or that sounds crazy. You got to be willing to do those things, to step away. And not worrying about looking weird, not worrying about what people are going to think about you, not worrying about any of that, and just like stick to what you're doing. But my will to get drugs was insane. That's that's the only reason why I'm questioning is because I'm thinking back to when I used to get dope, and like my will to push through everything that stood in my way and to push through all of that to go get dope was insane, man. It was like, like, wow, like didn't have a license, didn't have a dime to my fucking name, didn't have a single way in the world that I would be able to get high. And I would go out and like siphon gas out of a boat and put it into my dad's truck and like scrape change from out of the floorboards that it's been there for years. You know what I mean? Like I would just fucking do anything to go get high. And honestly, I don't know if I have the will to do that for any, like there's nothing in the world. You can wake me up tonight at 2:00 in the morning and be like, Maddie, Metallica is outside and they want to hang out with you and play a freaking concert in your basement. Wake up. And I'd be like, no, fuck you. I'm sleeping. Like, come back tomorrow. But back in my drug days, you wake me up at 2:00 morning, Maddie, somebody outside of town has a really shitty bag of meth that might be salt. And I'm up. Let's go right now. What do I got to steal? Who do I got to kill? I will give you a piggyback ride to town right now to go get this fucking shitty meth from this guy. Like, I don't have that much drive to do fucking anything today. Like, it's mind blowing. It's mind blowing the things that I used to do. So I don't know. I don't know if my will to stay clean is as strong as my will was to get high. I really don't know. I know it's there though, but I think it's not a matter of my will not being that strong. It's a matter of it doesn't take that much effort to stay clean. You know what I mean? Like, like it takes a lot of effort and a lot of work and a lot of determination to get high. It really does. We don't cut active addicts enough slack for the awesome characteristics that they show in trying to get high, okay? Because if you could take those characteristics and apply them and aim them towards literally anything else, you're the most determined motherfucker in the world, But we just aimed it towards terrible things, but we were dedicated. We were determined. Like it didn't matter who said we couldn't do it. It didn't matter who told us we were gonna die. We were fucking doing it, man. We were brave as hell. I don't know if we were brave or stupid. We might have been a mixture of both, like to get in an unregistered vehicle with a gun in your belt, with paraphernalia in the car, with people with felonies, with an out tail light and non-registered vehicle and drive past the cop shop to go get a bag of dope. That's fucking brazen, bro. That's courageous and stupid at the same time. So I don't know. And it doesn't take that much energy or that much effort to stay clean and sober. You just gotta like keep working it. It's more about what you don't do than it is about what you do. It's more about staying home and locking the door and shutting the phone off and not talking to douchebags and not doing stupid shit than it is about putting effort forth, But that's now. I mean, in the beginning, back in the beginning, it took a lot more effort. It took a lot more, but it's weird because the effort has to be put towards legal stuff. Like in order to get to a bag of dope, you could fucking steal gas and freaking rip somebody off and lie and finagle your way there. To get to your probation officer when you're in recovery and trying to do the right thing and you don't have a license and you don't have a vehicle, like it takes legal effort. You know what I mean? It takes those bold, brave moves of reaching out to somebody and asking if they can give you a ride, or reaching out to somebody and seeing if you can borrow a vehicle. Like it takes braveness on a different level, because those kind of things are brave too. It's brave to try and, because nowadays nobody wants to ask anybody for help. Everybody's got that pride and wants to do it themselves, and it's understandable. But at the same time, like when you come into recovery, you're in the negative. You ain't got shit. In fact, you have less than having shit. You got nothing. So it's stepping out in that boldness of saying, okay, I need help, and I'm going to ask for help when I need it, and I'm going to try and make this work for me. So I guess it's equal but different, it's equal but different. Let's see. Mary, I almost got in the wrong car. Oh my God. What are you doing? You're listening to me just jumping into the wrong people's cars. Donna, we showed such loyalty as well. Weird but true. Oh, very much. Very much. What an excellent point you raised there. We showed such loyalty to the people that were fucking us over, to the people that were trying to kill us, to the lifestyle that was trying to kill us, to our herd of fellow drug addicts. There is a honor among thieves, as it were. There is a brotherhood that is created in being a drug addict as well. It's not a good bond though. It's a trauma bond more than anything. But there is a loyalty and a frickin' like we're ride or die with each other when we're in our active addiction. You'll do anything for your frickin' drug buddies. But at the same time, it's only you'll do anything for your drug buddies if you can get high. So it's like, I will do anything for you, bro. But then as soon as the dope's gone, all right, who else can I do anything for? I'm going to go be this guy's best friend now. Cassie, congratulations, Maddie. Thanks, Cassie. I appreciate you. Let's see. Everybody's getting a kick out of me. Good. Let's see. That you did whatever it took to get the drugs, so you are now doing whatever it takes to stay sober. Amen, Melissa. Amen. I definitely understand what you were saying there. And yeah, it definitely takes a different kind of heart. That's for sure. It takes a different kind of heart. Well, all right, guys. It's been an hour and a half. Thanks for hanging out with me this morning. Wow, that really shows me that it's going to take us a long time Sunday evening. It's really going to be a long day. We'll see. We'll see what happens Sunday. I'll be live Sunday night at 7 p.m. Central to share my story. We'll go over the good, the bad, and the ugly. We'll talk about everything. We'll really have some time to sit and talk then. So if you really want to come and hear the actual full extended version of my story, then come on by Sunday evening at 7 p.m. Central. There is an events tab on my page. If you go to my page, click the events tab, you'll see the event for Sunday, and you can click going or interested, and then you'll get notified when I go live on Sunday evening if you want to come by and hear the rest of everything in full detail. But yeah, for today, I'm thankful for you guys. I really am. Thankful for you guys in this entire journey. Like, I started this page as a way to help, move closer into using my gifts from God to help other people, obviously. And as a way to express what I was going through and share my journey. And, but one thing I never thought of when I started this page was that this would end up being a support for me. I guess I just never really I always figured, I don't know what to say on that one. I just never thought that it was going to help me. as much as it has. So you guys being here and cheering me on, and days when I'm feeling down and out, and you guys send me memes or just post stuff, and and a lot of times I will just go back to posts on my page and look at the comments and stuff, and it really can help change my mindset for the day and helps me remember that I am doing a good thing here. So thank you guys for being here and for cheering me on along the way. 6 years down, a whole shit ton more to go. Let's keep moving forward, right? All right, thanks for joining me this morning, guys. Thanks for joining me in general. I love you guys, and I really hope that you have a beautiful day, and I will see you guys probably Sunday. I don't think I'm going to go live tomorrow or the rest of the day here. I might make a reel later today. But yeah, I will talk to you guys later. Until then, stay happy, stay healthy, and stay clean.